2. 1, 2, 3.
Are you ready, America? It's time for another edition of Game On with your host, Stevie Ray Braun and Brad Bad News Bollinger. Sit back, relax, and enjoy Game On. Talking about your favorite sports and different parts of life. Might even get a little take on Lane Kiffin's wife. They tell you what they think, you're not afraid to take a stance. They'll give you the number of pleats in Charlie Weiss's pants. They're the game on guys, see sports through their eyes. Political correctness just up and dies when they give you their views on any sport you want to hear. They're the game on guys, eating fries, drinking beer.
That is right. It is Game On. I'm Steve Braun, the guy at the other end of the line. Well, that there is Brad Bollinger.
Good to be back.
Yeah, we actually we talked after we recorded, and I actually recorded it. I don't know if you were aware, but this was actually your response.
We fine. We don't have no problem. I miss the voluntary camp. What do voluntary mean? Okay then, so why y'all making a big issue about it?
Bingo.
That's all that needs to be said.
That's it.
That's it.
Talking about practice.
Practice. Not a game. Not a game. Practice.
I had unexpected obligations.
There you go. I assumed it was a nap.
Yeah, it was something.
As soon as you fell asleep.
In that realm.
So, you can follow us on TikTok, Game On Pod. We haven't posted anything in like a month and a half, but hey.
There's the holiday break.
We're going to change that today. Facebook, Game On Pod as well. You can find our website, gameonpod.com. That is where you can find all the different ways to follow us and to listen to us. iHeartRadio, Amazon, Apple, Google, Spotify, Anchor. I think I added another one this past week. I don't even remember what it was. We're everywhere. And then we're also on Facebook for your parents to keep track of us. Game On Pod. And then Twitter at Game On Guys. So yeah, it's all the ways you can get a hold of us and follow us and like us and blah blah blah. Brad has other ways you can like him, but hey, that's what we love about Brad.
Let me tell you something right now. I am so happy to be back.
I'm glad.
But my God, it is a dumpster fire over here right now. But I'm pulling through. First show of the year, gotta shake things off. But yeah. I don't know. I was not set up to broadcast yet, and it is showing. But you know what? I got you to carry this show. So let me know if you need me. I'll be over here.
Okay. That's what it sounds like when Brad connected. It was just...
That's just the general energy that I give off at all times.
Yeah. That's a problem.
This is going great.
So there's a game taking place this weekend. Don't know if you heard about it, Brad. In the NFL.
It's the Super Bowl.
Is it? Is it?
Yeah. I can contribute.
Large bowl taking place. Does not involve...
Oh, are we not allowed to say the name?
We can say it. We can say it.
Are we going to get fined or sued?
We won't.
Okay.
No, not at all. It is not a chili bowl. It is not a cereal bowl. It is the Super Bowl. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles in Phoenix, Arizona. I think it's actually technically Scottsdale. State Farm Stadium, home of the Arizona Cardinals. And, yeah. Your thoughts, Brad?
To be honest, after I think this was like the exact opposite, coming off of championship weekend of the result that I wanted. I would have rather seen the Bengals and the 49ers. That being said, obviously, if you're in the conference championship, you're going to be a good team, and these are clearly two of the absolute best in the league, and it's going to be a fun game. I don't know. I just have something against the Chiefs nowadays, and I can't really pinpoint it, but when you don't want to be the
Mahomes.
Oh yeah, well that doesn't help, but I think there's a lot of hot takes in the sports world about if Patrick Mahomes did this, or if Patrick Mahomes, I think that people forget that, like, people realize that Patrick Mahomes is good. So, like, whenever people aren't talking about Mahomes, they have to bring him up in every conversation, whether you're talking about Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, the great quarterbacks nowadays. It's like you compliment one other quarterback and it's like, he's not Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the best. And so I think it's just that narrative that's just driving me crazy, because it's like, we all know Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, but there are other things to talk about. We don't have to mention him every single time. Like, give it up. So I think that's been bothering me. Jackson Mahomes has been bothering me. I don't know. Mercury in retrograde's been bothering me, so I've got a lot going on.
You really don't like the fact that Andy Reid also draws on people's faces while they sleep on airplanes.
Yeah, that's very.
Like, what is up with that?
That's very. I don't know. He's a liar. I see that.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can trust a guy who doesn't tell the truth about something like that. But
and then the way that he was able to compete in the punt, pass, and kick.
Jeez.
40-something years ago, 50 years ago. Also, I think there's a little bit of hostility there as well for you. So, all things that we can probably get figured out with some therapy. But hey, this is not the time or place. Let's just put it that way.
We don't have great benefits on this show, so
0. Actually.
Yeah, okay.
We don't get paid.
So we're gonna bury it all down deep inside.
Deep inside. So looking towards this game, I think it's going to be a fun matchup. The Chiefs' offensive line going up against what is a stout defensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm looking forward to see who is able to kind of break there. And then kind of the same thing on the other side, in the sense of we saw the Chiefs. I mean, we know what the Chiefs can do defensively on that defensive front, going up against an Eagles offensive line that has been salty as well. So I think pretty even matchup on both sides there. The big question.
There's also a sense of feel like everyone's kind of holding their breath and kind of waiting for the Jalen Hurts pin to drop, of like he's going to revert a little bit, and
all of a sudden he's going to become Alabama Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, he's not going to be an NFL quarterback, an NFL starting quarterback, quality player, even though he's in the Super Bowl starting for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's one of the MVP candidates for this year as well. So I don't know. Do you still sense that feeling? Because I do. I think that a lot of people still have doubts about him, even though he's had a fantastic year, and I think he's gone a long way to kind of remove that stigma from himself. But I think this is going to be that like turning point in his career of like, is he going to go down the path of superstardom, or is he going to maybe revert back to the old, mistake-prone Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot to that. I think there is that sense of just, is this a flash in the pan, which is hard to say that it's that, because he's done it all year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And sure,
I want the guy to succeed, but I still feel it. You know what I mean? It's just like this weird dark cloud hanging over it.
And he's not the greatest passer.
No.
But does he
doesn't
have
need to be?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I that's going to be the thing that stands out to me is Kansas City. yes, you have Patrick Mahomes, you have Travis Kelsey. What else do you have? Pacheco has played well in recent weeks. Is it going to be well enough to win a Super Bowl with him running the ball and receiving out of the backfield? I don't know. Do they have any other receiving options? We'll see. And then you go to the other side. Yeah, I think can Jalen Hurts hit enough open guys and be accurate enough and a good enough passer? So far, he's shown that, but has he faced a team like the Chiefs that can also, on the offensive side, put up points with the best of them? No, he really hasn't. So, in that regard, I think it's going to be a fun game, which means it will probably actually be awful.
Yeah,
And we'll hate all of it.
that's very true. It could be a real stinker, you know.
But hey,
But
it's the Super Bowl. And then we'll turn to the XFL and then the USFL, and in between there we'll have free agency and the NFL draft, and the next thing you know we're back to summertime and we're looking at baseball games and saying, hey, it's T-minus 27 days to NFL preseason training camps.
well, I will say it's going to be nice to get some of my time back because the last couple of years I've really realized how much I devote of my weekend to NFL, college football.
Yeah.
It's kind of absurd, and even though I'm single, I still am kind of starting to see more and more why girlfriends, wives get so upset about how much football is being watched, because I'm kind of troubled by it myself. I mean, you turn on NFL Red Zone on Sunday, and it's like noon to 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Flies by in the blink of an eye, and you're like, oh well, most of my day is gone, so I can't really do any of the errands I needed to do. So yeah, I'm excited to have my life back, I guess.
Yeah, I
Maybe
agree.
I'll have time for therapy now.
And some college basketball.
Oh yeah, college basketball.
And then we'll turn to
Forget
NBA,
therapy, yeah.
And then, so forget therapy.
Yeah,
That's
you're right.
overrated, Brad. Don't
I got XFL to watch.
worry about it. Yes, we do. Starts next Saturday. A week from Saturday, the XFL is back. I'm excited.
I am too. And I'm
I'm
sure we're going to
also
have
worried.
great coverage about it, but
Yeah, we will. We'll probably
I
talk
think
about it
it's-
more than any podcast, which is sad and pathetic. Outside of the ones that are just dedicated to the XFL.
yeah. But as far as the XFL goes, I think this is their best shot, because I think people really underestimate the power of Dwayne Johnson and kind of his pull and his ability to create things. If you follow him on social media, he's just a walking billboard at this point. But I think he's putting in the time, he's dedicating the resources to it, and I think a lot of people are buying in, and I'm excited for it. I won't go too far deep into it, but I think this could actually hang around for a while, and I'm excited to see. And at the very least, I think the best part of the XFL, the history up to this point, is the innovations that they have
Yes.
lent to the NFL game and to the college game even. So I'm excited to see more of that and that innovation from that league.
No doubt about it. The innovation side of it is been their biggest contribution to football. So you got to expect that to be there once again. I think the overtime rules are really exciting, some of that. So I look forward to it. I will say quickly that I have been disappointed in the production value and some of the build-up to the season by the XFL. It's been sloppy in my opinion. Such a delay on getting the schedule release, announcing where Las Vegas was actually going to play their games in Vegas. I mean, they didn't announce any of that till January, and we're starting the second week, or technically the third weekend of February. So it was like 6 weeks out, and they were just announcing where they were going to be playing those games and what the schedule was. So things like that. The quarterback assignment announcements was lackluster. The draft was the coverage that they provided of the draft. I mean, I know it's nothing, but it still was disappointing in my mind. Very high school broadcast production quality, and I've actually seen high school production quality better than what they put on in some regards. So that worries me a little bit, but I think once the season gets going, ESPN takes over a lot of that production of the actual broadcast of games. I think it'll be up to their standards, and everything will be all right.
Yeah, and the success of it will dictate the years to come as far as that stuff goes. With you mentioned the schedule release, the draft, all that. I think this is kind of, even though it's been an existing league, I think this is just, they're treating this kind of as a brand new league. I mean, I don't think they're really adopting much of their old ways about going things. I think they want to do it their way, and I think they're going through their growing pains. But I mean, they've done a lot of major stuff already. I mean, working with ESPN, working with NFL. I think they're just kind of counting on it really coming back with a big bang, and then they'll address that stuff next year when they've had some more experience, some more, time to kind of lay everything out. But I think, at least week 1, people are going to be watching. I'm interested to see the ratings.
Yes. Yep. You can find it on ABC, ESPN, and FX. We'll cover those games along with ESPN Plus. All right, let's hop over from Super Bowl and XFL talk, which we didn't even have on our rundown, but hey, whatever. Signing day has come and gone. Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Tulsa, between the early signing period, transfer portal coming to a close as well, and then signing day really wrapping up. A lot of interesting moves. Some big additions for a lot of the teams. Let's start with Oklahoma, Brad, and just get a quick synopsis and your thoughts. I think the 2 players, maybe 3 players that really stand out to me, of course, Jackson Arnold, the 5-star quarterback, number 4 at his position and 8th in the nation, out of Denton Guyer, Texas, 6'1", 205. Seems to be the real deal. Won the Elite 11 MVP award, I believe. So a guy that a lot of people are looking at, that if things don't go okay for Dylan Gabriel throughout this upcoming season, we may see Jackson Arnold earlier rather than later, or sooner, rather than later. But I think he's an exciting one. Jeff Levy and I think even Coach Venables said he is he's the poster child of this signing class. So a guy that committed early, verbally, and stuck with it even through a tough season. So big addition there. And then you throw in Peyton Bowen, the safety that bounced, long time Notre Dame commit, bounced from Notre Dame to Oregon the day of, and then the day after the early signing period actually announced he was coming to Oklahoma. 5-star safety, a teammate of Jackson Arnold, to get 2 guys out of Denton, Texas, and Guyer High School. Big gets, and I think Peyton Bowen's a safety that can be a great add to this defense. Guy that's probably going to see playing time pretty quick, and there's some young guys on that back side of the defense that make me as a Sooner fan excited. And then you throw in Etta Baywar, the edge out of Kansas City, another 5-star. Getting a guy up front is huge in my opinion, and they got some. They got some defensive linemen, got some O linemen, not only in the signing period but also in the transfer portal. So a lot of those came before this most recent signing day. The only signee that came from the traditional signing day was Taylor Heim out of Bethany, Oklahoma, who's more of a project, 6'4", 190-pound linebacker, just an athlete. That one of those that I think they just said, hey, this guy's got way too many tools and gifts from God that we can't pass up. But they add him. They get Austin Stogner back, Dasan McCullough, and Day McCullough coming in as well on the defensive side. And then Jacob Lacey, the transfer from Notre Dame at the defensive line. There's a lot of pieces, and you got to be excited about what they've added. Can it all come together, though?
Yeah, it's interesting. After Venables' first season as head coach, I feel like a lot of doubt has come into the air, for good reason. I mean, I think they underperformed. I think it's fair to say that they underperformed. But I was legitimately shocked at how well this recruiting class was. I think that Venables being a new head coach kind of scared me a little bit on the recruiting trail. And of course, the lackluster performance in his first year. But yeah, I mean, you can tell he's got something going there, and different from past years as far as Oklahoma recruiting goes. They signed some defensive studs. You mentioned that defensive end out of Kansas City, 6'5", 230 pounds. I mean, they got some secondary guys, the 5-star Peyton Bowen. I think what you want to tell yourself is, yeah, Venables is getting his guys in there. He's building that defense that we've dreamt of for God knows how long at this point. And, stuff like this extends that hot seat period for him a little bit. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying he was in danger of losing his job at this point, but I mean, we have another losing season next year, then I think it's going to start getting scorching hot. So things like this kind of gives the fan base more hope. They're competing with the big boys. They're competing with the Alabamas, Georgias of the world. And I believe they're the 6th ranked class, if you...
4th by 24/7 Sports.
By 24/7. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I
their
saw 6 on
composite,
another ranking.
Yeah,
but
it's around that range.
Yeah. Let's call it top 8, top 8 class. I think there's hope. And Jackson Arnold is a big, big deal. I'm still on the Dylan Gabriel train. I think he is capable of leading a winning team. I've said it many times. I don't think last year was his fault by any means. I think he could have played better, of course, but there was a lot of issues on both sides of the ball, and I don't think Dylan Gabriel was the reason that they had the performance that they did. But man, having that young gun come in, that 5-star new toy to play with, I think Dylan Gabriel is going to be motivated. He's been around the block. He's a veteran. He's done a lot of things in his college career, and I think he's going to answer. And I think he could be also, I think he could be good for Arnold's development. I think, Arnold getting to sit behind him for a year, kind of picking up on his maturity, what he's seen out there on the field with, Lebby helping out as far as kind of reading coverages and things like that. I think it's a good situation to be in. Usually you say if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one, but I don't think that's the case here. I think we got a veteran who can lead the squad now, and we've got a superstar in the making, and we don't have to rush him in. So I think I'm scared to say this, but I have hope as an OU fan.
I think that's fair. I definitely think that's fair. So we move from the top 8 down to the 54th ranked class, according to 24/7's composite team rankings. Oklahoma State, and it's a typical Mike Gundy type of class. I mean, it's what you expect, a bunch of 3 and 4-star type guys, 2 stars. Zane Flores, the Nebraska, from Gretna, Nebraska, 6'3 and a half, 190-pound, 3-star quarterback. Big get for them. I know they're excited about him. Ladarius Webb Jr., another one out of Jones College in Ellsville, Mississippi, a cornerback that has OSU fans kind of excited to see him join the squad. And then a lot of local guys. Jacoby Sanders out of Stillwater, another offensive lineman that has come on. Jaden Foreman from Del City. There was a few more. Jamison Majah out of Broken Arrow, offensive lineman as well, 6'4", 275-pound O-lineman, 3-star. Tyke Andrews from Enid, 6 foot, 180-pound, 3-star, also a signee for them. And then the transfer class, I think, is kind of the key for them. Elijah Collins from Michigan State, 6 foot, 194 pounds, comes on. and then they got a quarterback because Spencer Sanders is off to Ole Miss. And Alan Bowman played at Texas Tech, started his career there, transferred to Michigan, never really saw the field that much for the Wolverines. 6'3", 208, big arm. He will be heading to Oklahoma State. And I listened to OSU Max. There's Old Pokes show, Dion Amade and Clint Shelf. And they made a good point on that show about the addition of tight ends to Oklahoma State's transfer portal, incoming transfer guys. They got a couple of tight ends, and as they put it, it makes you think maybe the offense is going to go more to a big set. Let's get some big bodies, big targets, put them on the line, run the ball, throw out of play action, get underneath center, that kind of deal is coming, which, if that is the case, does explain why they had so many wide receivers transfer out. Because if you go from a spread formation offense to, hey, we're going to go 2 tight ends and look to ground and pound and throw when we can, it would make sense for some of those guys to bounce. Last one I'll throw out there, Justin Wright, 6'2", 218, transfer from Tulsa. He was a 2-star coming out of high school, a 3-star transfer, linebacker. I think a great addition to Oklahoma State. I know folks that follow TU closely were not excited to see Justin Wright bolt, but are excited for him and the opportunity to go to a Big 12 school in Oklahoma State and maybe make a big difference. And I think he could. He's kind of a hard-nosed, blue-collar type of linebacker.
This feels like a weird time in Oklahoma State football. The whole Spencer Sanders transfer felt weird to me, just how it was handled in general. I think there was some bad blood there, and I don't know. It seems like there's some smoke coming out of the house there. I'm kind of worried. You know, you mentioned them kind of approaching. Maybe they're going to that ground and pound game on the offensive side of the ball, and my first thought is, well, yeah, they kind of have to. Have you seen their quarterback room? I mean, what are they gonna? I mean, what else are they gonna do?
No.
So I don't know. With the new Big 12 that begins this upcoming season, I think it's a real fear for Pokes fans that they could get lost in the shuffle. I mean, if things don't start turning around, I don't know. The Gundy era feels like it's coming to an end. It feels weird to me right now. I don't know. I just get bad vibes from it.
I think it's interesting. And Robert Allen, I don't know if you caught Robert Allen about a month ago, and I can't kicking myself for not remembering the podcast that he was on. But he went into it and started talking about a little bit about the process of Spencer Sanders wanting to leave, then saying he would stick around at least through the bowl game, play in the bowl game. Then he didn't show up to practice. Then halfway through bowl practice, he reached out. And at that point, Gundy basically was like, forget you. We're moving on. And you can figure out what you're going to do elsewhere. Which I think explains why Spencer Sanders is going to an Ole Miss team that signed another. I mean, they had another transfer portal quarterback out of LSU. And they still have Jackson Dart. Who, yeah, Jackson Dart didn't just tear it up this past season, but still a highly recruited out of high school quarterback that went to USC, transferred to Ole Miss, had some success this season. So it's not guaranteed that's Spencer Sanders' job down at Ole Miss. And I think that plays into and gives some validity to what Robert Allen was saying in this podcast that I listened to, in that basically the thing with Mike Gundy is he does not communicate. He's not one to reach out. He's not one to cater to players in an era in which you have to. I think players are empowered more than they've ever been. I think they want to be informed. They want to be communicated with. Um, they just want to know what's going on and where they stand more than ever. And I think that's always been the case with guys. When you talk about college age or anybody, they want to know where they stand. And I don't know if Mike Gundy even, I mean, there was, according to Robert Allen, Mike Gundy had not talked to Spencer Sanders. There were other players that tweeted out. They didn't, when they entered the portal, there was no conversation from Mike Gundy. The second they entered, they were done. And you just can't operate that way anymore. I mean, in a day and age where guys can go off and look, I mean, Spencer Sanders is the best example. He went off and looked, didn't see anything that he liked, wanted to come back, and Gundy basically told his coaching staff, you can tell him that we're not interested.
Right.
Like, this day and age, let the guys go see if the grass is greener. There's a good chance they're going to come back, and he's not willing to allow that. And I know other coaches that are that way. I mean, if you want to go shop, that's fine, but there's not anything for you when you come back this way. So if you decide to go, you better go all the way. And I get it. I understand. Some coaches decide that's how we're going to operate. They've got to make decisions when it comes to scholarships and trying to construct their roster. So I understand that. But man, it as you said, there's a ton of smoke coming out of Stillwater, and it's not been just this time. It's in different ways throughout the last few years that it's shown more and more. I don't think Gundy's going to last very long. I think I think it's one of those. I think he would love to see his sons play through, and then probably head on out.
Right.
And hey, good for him. He's made a lot of money. He's got a farm out in Stillwater, outside of Stillwater, that he works on, that he'd probably love to spend more time on. And
I mean,
nobody can blame him.
No, I mean, he's been monumental for the program.
Oh, yes.
Obviously, he's been the guy. I mean, he deserves all the praise and all of that. But much like in life, if you don't evolve, then you're gonna die. I mean, in this case, it's, well, maybe coaching isn't for me anymore. Maybe my style isn't really what today's game calls for. And, I get wanting to, have your guys in the room and say, listen, either you're with us or you're not, blah, 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 blah. But I think, to be fair to both parties, I think the players and the coaches just want to do what's best for them in this situation. And of course, coaches for their team, but I think we have to respect the players' desires to seek better for themselves, especially if they're making money off, like D1 top schools, the money they make off these players. I think it's totally fair for these guys to want to explore their options. And I think moving forward in this day and age, you're going to have to find a way to kind of navigate that in a better way than Gundy has. And, maybe he's just old school. Maybe he can't be broken of his ways, but I don't think it's going to be successful very long if he doesn't make some changes in his approach. Let's say that.
Yeah, it'll be something to watch here in the next upcoming season, off season as well, because hey, there's another transfer portal opening coming up here soon, and as we move through next season, how does OSU adapt? Not only offensively, because there was a lot of issues there, but also defensively as they bring in Brian Nardo, who was coaching at D2 this past season. What is he able to do as he comes in as the defensive coordinator? And they've elevated some guys, Joe Bob Clements to co-defensive coordinator, and Tim Duffy to passing game coordinator defensively. But like you said, it's time to adapt.
It is. And a quick final note on the Cowboys. It's kind of wild because I felt like about halfway through the season, they looked like a contender.
Oh, yeah.
before the Spencer Sanders injury. You know, they should have beaten TCU. I think that kind of started this domino effect of how their season would end up, but they were looking very, very good. And I really don't think it was a fluke. I think they had the capability of being a really good team, but, you know, those cracks started to get bigger and bigger, and it just kind of all crumbled at the end. So it seems like a real metaphor for how Gundy's coaching career is going at this point. But this isn't all this, you know, criticism isn't to say that he's not capable of turning around and producing another winning team or a contender in the conference. But this is the first time I've legitimately thought that this is the end of an era here in Stillwater.
Which is fair. I think there's definitely reason to think that it's closer to the end for Gundy than it is ever been, for sure. Let's hop over to Tulsa just quickly. Kevin Wilson, the new head coach, his football commitment list, which isn't complete on 24/7 Sports from what I can tell, but they rank 110 out of 100 and I believe 32 teams in FBS. Some local products: Devin Robinson, a safety out of Union. They got a athlete out of Cushing, Cam Crooks, who's ranked 3 stars. Moving down, Grayson Tempest, a wide receiver, safety, athlete out of Union as well. R.J. Jackson, a tight end out of Choctaw. Tyler Rich, a defensive lineman out of Owasso. Got an offensive lineman in Bennett Ringlib from Union as well. Some local guys that are transferring into TU. Kewan Parker from Arkansas, who I believe was at Booker T. Washington, played at Booker T. DeMarco Jones as well. And then probably the biggest name is Braylon Presley, the 5'7", 155-pound wide receiver, running back, is transferring over from Oklahoma State to the University of Tulsa. So a big get there in regards to Presley. I'm excited to see what he's able to do in this offense under Kevin Wilson. Everybody's pointing towards, they've got all these different guys at Tulsa. You got Kevin Wilson coming from Ohio State, and hey, he was the offensive coordinator there. Well, he wasn't calling the plays. I hope people understand that. Like, yes, it's great that he's coming, and he's going to be likely the play caller, but maybe he doesn't. Maybe they allow Steve Spurrier Jr. to call the plays, but Kevin Wilson wasn't calling all those plays at Ohio State. That was Ryan Day. And now that Wilson's gone and Ryan Day has come out, even before during the college football playoff, he stated that, hey, I'm not going to be calling plays at Ohio State in the coming future. So, again, I just think that's interesting that everybody keeps talking about, we've got the offensive coordinator from Ohio State. Look at what that offense did. Yes, he got them ready, but he was not the one calling plays game in, game out.
Yeah, and I think the highlight for me, just to piggyback off what you were speaking on earlier, Braylon Presley, I'm excited to see what he can do because he comes out of, Bixby, which is just a phenomenal powerhouse nowadays in the high school football world here. But, 2-time Oklahoma Player of the Year, 102 career touchdowns in high school, and he also caught 145 passes. I think he is a very, very talented back, and like you said, I'm excited to see what he can do in Wilson's system. His size, you kind of immediately you go to the stereotype of maybe like a Deuce Vaughn type or something at 5'8", 170. But he's got some special playmaking ability, and I think Kevin Wilson's done a great job so far since they brought him on. At least making big splashes in terms of signing and making some moves on his coaching staff as well. Guys like Spurrier Jr., things like that. So hey, I think there's finally some excitement in Tulsa, and if it pans out, who knows? But at least this is a good starting point.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Another one that I couldn't remember his name, so I had to go Google searching. Kirk Francis, the Metro Christian quarterback. A lot of people were really impressed with how he played in the state championship game. He's come out and said he is also gonna play at Tulsa. So I'm pretty sure he is a senior. So yeah, he was he had received D2 offers and was a recruited walk-on to Oklahoma State, Cal, and Memphis, but is going to head to the University of Tulsa. So he signed as well on February 1st, the first day of the signing period, the traditional signing period. So also have to give it out, Kevin Wilson has gone after local guys. Some of them have been a little bit of shock to me, but he's also gotten out there and he's already kind of pursuing Shaker Grising, who's real quick, he's the young man that was the starting quarterback at Jinx as a freshman. 2 seasons ago, they won the state title, transferred to Union this past offseason, became the starting quarterback at Union. A lot of that had to do with the coaching staff and the offensive coordinator at Union, Dub Maddox. You probably remember that name. He was at Broken Arrow for a little bit when we were in high school. But Dub is the offensive coordinator over there, quarterback's coach, that kind of deal. And he was the big reason why he came to Jinx, because Dub was at Jinx. But Dub, during the offseason, this time of the year, goes around and does all this quarterback training and offense. Just goes across the country and held one of those at what is now Allen Trimble's field or stadium. Years ago, Rising attended. They lived out of state, attended that, saw the Jinx facilities, knew that Dub and some of the other guys that he works with were there on the staff at Jinx, and decided they were going to move to Tulsa and move to Jinx. They did so. Dub, in that time, left, became the head coach at Victory Christian, and then moved over to Union 2 seasons ago. And Rising decided they were going to move. That family decided to move over to Union. So, but a really impressive quarterback, had some other offers, and I think that could be, if they're able to somehow secure him at quarterback, that could be huge. Because and you go back to some of the more successful Tulsa teams. Paul Smith and that offense and that team that they had. Paul being a guy out of Owasso, his dad was the head coach, but had spent time, I think, down at one of the Edmond schools before that. But a lot of success came from that, and he went on and made some preseason squads with the Jacksonville Jaguars as well. So exciting times for Tulsa. Can it translate? Can they get things going in the American Athletic Conference, which is a new look American Athletic Conference? It's not the Cincinnati, Houston, UCF that we've grown and loved. Some of those remaining teams, Memphis and others, yes, are powerful, but not to the level of success that some of those I just rattled off that have moved to the Big 12. And on top of that, you're adding UNT and Texas, San Antonio, and some others to the American. It's getting to become more of the Conference USA that Tulsa left and probably should have always been in with those types of teams, which should lead to more success. All right. On to the next thing, Brad. Brad, Brad, I don't know if you know this, but the State of the Union is taking place as we record this on this Tuesday night, February 7th. Joe Biden is reading from a teleprompter as we speak in front of our Congress. And with that, Brad and I felt we should do a State of Oklahoma college basketball. Final month before we hit March Madness, conference tournaments, and the NCAA tournament right around the corner. Let's get into it, Brad. And I'm going to start off with who I deem to be the best team in the state of Oklahoma as we speak. They are receiving top 25 votes. The Oral Roberts Golden Eagles over there at 81st and Lewis. Man, they are impressive. Max Asmus and so many others. But Paul Mills, what he has got going over there, brother, they are dominating teams. I don't know if you've watched much of them or looked at many of their scores, but what ORU is doing so far this season is overly impressive, and I got to give it up to them, man. It's scary, and yes, they've still got to go win their conference championship game. They got to go win the tournament. That's just how this works when you're in the Summit League. But if they keep winning the way they are, I mean, their net ranking is 44 entering this past Saturday's game. They were ranked 44th in the NCAA net ranking. I mean, that is borderline guaranteed spot in the NCAA tournament. If they were in any other conference, they would be. They would be in there. I mean, they 20-4 on the season, 11-0 in the Summit League. They beat South Dakota 103-53 last week.
Yeah.
They beat Denver 102-61. They are just destroying teams throughout their conference.
Yeah, they are. And, they had 3 losses in the first 6 games, I believe it was. But, you take a look at those losses. It's teams like St. Mary's, who's a perennial powerhouse out west. Houston, who I believe is the best team in the entire nation. They did get mollywopped in that game, but that's to be expected, especially earlier in the year.
At Houston.
Yeah, it was a recipe for disaster. And, I mean, you even take a look at Utah State.
Receiving votes.
They're 19-5 on the year now out in the Mountain West. So,
and then they went to New Mexico after they had a game get canceled. Scheduled that one, I think, in December. Went out there January 9th, and they lost 82-75. 7-point ball game on the road at New Mexico. That's one of those that helps your net ranking.
Well,
ultimately.
Yeah, and there's really no bad losses there either.
No.
I mean,
if you want to point to one, it's the Houston loss, and that's the number 1 team in the nation in a lot of people's mind.
Right. And we can't dismiss the fact that they conquered the mighty Hillcats of Rogers State this year as well.
They did indeed. Yeah.
I think that's enough reason as
11-point game. How about my Hillcats, baby?
Woo-hoo! Hillcats. Hillcat pride.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. It all comes down to, can you go win the conference championship?
Yeah, and I think when you got a special player like they do, I think that they are going to get it done. But it's crazy to say, but they really are the best team in the state right now. I can't argue with that, even though I should be. I can't.
And you throw in Connor Vanover, 7'5" forward center for them. He's averaging 13.5 points, almost 7 rebounds per game, and 3 blocks. He has been in a conference like that. He's going to have success, but he's been able to knock down some shots from the outside. A guy that played at Arkansas, transferred over from there. So he's another piece. I mean, it's a big guy. And when they made that run a few years ago, they had Kevin O'Banner down in the post. But he was also able to step out and knock down shots, and that's kind of what Vanover's been able to do. Throw in Carlos Jurgens as well, another guy that can kind of do the same thing. He's shooting 36% nearly from three-point range. I mean, they've got a lot of really good pieces. and they've been a fun team to watch. I always seem to catch them when they're already up by 30-something points or 20-something points in a game, but if you don't have it on Roku, on Apple TV, your smart TVs, go find the ORU Sports Network, download it, and catch some of their last home games as North Dakota and North Dakota State will come to town February 17th and 19th. So next weekend, next Thursday, Saturday, to close out the home stand for the Golden Eagles. Highly encourage you to either go out there to the Mabee Center, a newly renovated Mabee Center, or just catch them on your smart TV and check out those games.
And I tell you what, that fresh paint job on the Mabee Center looks so much better.
So slick, my man.
So much better.
It is impressive. Let's go to what I would consider the second best team in the state of Oklahoma, and you might be able to argue that they're the best team. Oklahoma State. They have been hot this season recently, especially getting a victory over TCU. They are on a 3-game win streak, and Texas Tech coming to Stillwater on Thursday, I believe it is. Or sorry, pardon me. They play TCU this week. I was thinking they've already knocked them off. They played yes, they did beat TCU.
They beat TCU.
I'm getting crossed over.
They've got Texas Tech coming up
they've
tomorrow.
They've got Texas Tech tomorrow. I was getting all crosswired.
That's all right.
It's late. I'm tired.
Yeah, absolutely.
TCU, they get the victory over TCU. 3 straight victories, including a Bedlam win in Norman, which isn't saying a whole lot, but still. That was a packed house. OU coming off the win against Alabama, and they came in there and came away with what was a 10-point win, but really it should have been a 20-point victory. That's where it was for most of that game. But Oklahoma State has been playing really well. Avery Anderson, it looks like his season is over, unfortunately. So
big loss.
How do
there,
they? How do they turn around from there? But Bryce Thompson's played well, and really Caleb Boone has been really impressive in recent games, and was named the Big 12 Player of the Week for his performance this past week.
And I think kind of a recipe that's working this year for Oklahoma State, especially within Big 12 conference play, is they're protecting home court. With this Murder Row lineup you have in the Big 12 this year, taking care of your business at home is monumental. And then going on the road, being able to pick off a couple teams here and there. They're able to go beat OU and Norman for Bedlam. But really no bad losses within the conference at home, and I think that's kind of going to be the difference this regular season for them. Before they got into Big 12 play, they had a loss to Virginia Tech at home, but I think that when they kind of match up with the big dogs of the conference, it's kind of a daunting task for the Cowboy squad. But 3 in a row, beat teams like Ole Miss, Oklahoma, TCU. Maybe they're getting some momentum going. Maybe they're figuring things out. But losing to Texas by 14 doesn't help. Getting blown out by Baylor doesn't help. I think when that conference tournament comes around, it's going to be a matter of can they get that victory they might need to get in order to get into the NCAA tournament, because it's very possible they could be on the bubble. If they keep winning, I think they'll be safe. But if they have any slip-ups the rest of the year, I think they could be on the bubble, and they might need to go get a impressive victory in the tournament. So can they get it done against one of those top-tier teams in the Big 12?
If you look at their remaining schedule, they've got Texas Tech, like we mentioned, tomorrow, Wednesday the 8th, at home. That's a game they should probably win. At Iowa State, 13th ranked Cyclones, that's a tough game to go get a victory there. You've got Kansas, who's ranked 8th on Valentine's Day next Tuesday. Then you have at TCU, at West Virginia. I think you've already beat TCU at home. Can you go do it in their house? Tough task, but hey, who knows? You've already beat them once. Maybe you can pull it off again. The at West Virginia game, though, in my mind, that you got to go win that. You got to win.
Must win.
Basically, you have to win Tech. You have to win at West Virginia, and then you have to beat Tech again to close out the
Correct.
season. In my mind.
And I would like to see a couple of those home court games against the
Yes.
Kansas State's, the World, the Baylor,
Kansas State,
I'd like to
Baylor.
see them come away with maybe like a 500 record against those teams at home. I think if they're able to do that, then they're safely in the tournament, and I think they're in good shape. This conference is scary, so.
Oh, I mean,
Throw
what
the
would-
records out the door this year. I mean, it's scary, but you do need to be able to protect your home court, and you do need to be able to go on the road and beat the teams you're supposed to beat, like the West Virginias, like the Texas Techs, and even Oklahoma for them. Bedlam's a good win. You take a look at the standings. OU's 12-11 right now, 2-8 in the conference, but I think they're one of the better 12-11 teams in the entire country. So.
Yeah.
Not to say that they're a good team because they have their flaws, but they're very capable of playing with people. So getting a win there is impressive, and so I think the Pokes just need to keep focus, get a couple wins at home, beat the teams they need to beat, and they'll be fine.
Yep, I agree. I completely agree. All right, let's jump over to the Oklahoma Sooners, the aforementioned Sooners, on a 2-game losing streak after they beat, and I say beat, they just blasted number 2 Alabama 93-69 at home to close out January, but then a 10-point loss to Oklahoma State, and then what was probably one of the more embarrassing losses in quite a while when it comes to a conference game for OU, 93-61 to West Virginia. They face Baylor tomorrow night, then they host Kansas State, at Texas Tech at home, and then to close it out, at Iowa State, at K-State, and then TCU at home. Man, this OU squad, it is frustrating, to say the least. A team that shows promise, has talent, you can see it, but just doesn't seem to have, especially down in the post, the athletes to be able to compete in the Big 12 night in and night out. And if the shot isn't falling from the outside for them, and if Grant Sherfield isn't able to be all-conference Grant Sherfield, then they're not going to win the game. I mean, that just seems to be the case with this team so far this season.
Yeah. It's very, of course, it's frustrating. And they're going to have to pull off a little run here to end the year. They are definitely going to have to make a little run in the conference tournament to get. I don't even think they're on the bubble right now, per se. I think they fell out of the first 4 out. I think they're out of that even.
Yeah, I
at
think
this
they're
point.
like the next 4 out or something
Correct.
like that.
Yeah. But, next 3 games, you've got Baylor, Kansas State. So, and even Texas after that. So
Yes.
it's not looking great. They're going to, this is what happens when you're in the Big 12. They're going to have to figure it out. I think if they don't win at least 2 of those next 4 games, then they are done. I know that's a tall task against those type of teams, but you don't take care of business against a team like West Virginia, then you don't really get much leeway anymore. So they're going to have to start pulling out some major victories to get back in that tournament talk. I don't see it happening. They're just too inconsistent. Like you said, they kind of get out-athleted by other teams in the conference. They need the shot to fall. You mentioned that as well, but it's like, Grant Sherfield shooting 43% on the year. So you can't really count on that either. So really, really kind of a bummer year for them because I do think they are talented and I do think they are capable of beating some really good teams, but I just don't think they're going to get their opportunity this year to do much. But maybe they can go off to the NIT and make a run because they're not a bad team. They're just an average team in a great conference. So
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, but I don't have much hope for them. But Hey, you never know. Um, I actually like Porter Moser, so um, I think this is just kind of one of those years that you got to tip your hat to the rest of the conference and say, hey, we're going to come back next year, going to get some more players in this locker room, and we're going to find difference makers and start competing with these big guys again.
And he's been able to recruit. I mean, he's got 2 guys that were top 100 players on this roster from last recruiting class, and then he's already signed 2 guys that are ESPN top 100 recruits. So you look at that and you say, okay, if he can retain 1 or 2 other guys, then this can become a game that, or a team, pardon me, that can go compete in the Big 12. But that's the key. Can he keep those guys in this class, or that he just signed, keep them on this roster heading into next year? Because we've seen guys, Mo Gibson and others, that have taken off in recent years and are having success elsewhere. So can he keep those guys here? Hopefully that's the case. I think one very interesting aspect, I don't know if you've heard this, but there's talk that he could be considered for the Notre Dame job, Porter Moser.
Mm-hmm.
A guy that was at Loyola Chicago, that's a Catholic school. Could he return to a Midwest Catholic school in Notre Dame? I mean, the success he had at one, he's talked about how he liked that atmosphere. And the big reason that he took a job like OU is because of the resources and the fact that you don't have to win your conference championship game, conference tournament, to make it to the big dance. And in Oklahoma, you could have the season he's having, close out with going 500 in the remaining games, and he has a good chance of getting in. Loyola Chicago, that doesn't happen. A Notre Dame, that happens. And if it's the same type of atmosphere, there's a chance he may head there. So something to keep an eye on. And to close out our state of Oklahoma college basketball, Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Not much to say about this TU team. 5-17 on the season. They are 1-10 in the American Athletic Conference. They are currently riding a 4-game losing streak. Their last win came back on January 21st. An overtime victory by 2 points versus Tulane in the Reynolds Center. They face number 2 Houston tomorrow night on ESPN Plus on the road at Houston. Not a whole lot going for Coach Eric Conkle, the 31st head basketball coach of TU, in his first season after being at Louisiana Tech the last 7 years. But he has some recruits coming in. He's got I believe, not McDonald's All-American, but he was a finalist for the roster out of Tennessee, I think it was, that's heading to Tulsa this upcoming season. So big recruiting class. He's kind of flat out said, hey, we stink right now, but stick with us. Things are going to get better. You got to think they will, especially if he's able to get recruits like that. Things will turn around for this Tulsa team. This is a rough patch, and it's something that we've talked about. They've got some athletes, but they don't have a whole lot of basketball players right now, and he's going to go get some basketball players, and they'll be better.
Yeah, I won't even take up any more of our time on TU, but agreed.
All right, let's move on. Time for our top 3, Brad, and that top 3 is our top 3 Super Bowl game day snacks.
Yes. This is an exciting one. Got the big game.
Because one of the keys to Super Bowl Sunday is to have snacks. You got to have whatever it might be, and we'll get into some of those. You got to have some snacks to eat. You got to have some drinks, big TV to sit in front of, some family or friends as well, your paper plates, your Dixie cups, the red Solo cups, all of that to take in one of the biggest sporting events every single year. So with that, Brad and I will share our top 3 Super Bowl game day snacks. Brad, I'll let you have the honors.
Okay, thank you.
Anytime, my friend. Anytime.
Super Bowl snacks. Now, it's kind of a unique situation here because how many times do we get together like this with friends, with family, and have these big feasts? I think it's only reserved for holidays, right?
Typically, yes.
Your Thanksgivings, your Christmases. So I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty major. I think we all know how big that the Super Bowl actually is. So this is kind of like a national holiday in a way. But I think this is a very important list. Let's get into it. Top 3 Super Bowl snack items. Coming in at number 3, I have the party sub. Now,
Ooh, okay.
I love party subs at all times, of course. You get those big, long sons of bitches, and you cut them in the, little, I don't know. What would you call the cuts in that? Maybe 5 inches or so, 6 inches?
3 to 5 inches, yeah.
Yeah, you get the cuts, and then you get all the toppings on there. You get the dressings that you want. It feels like a community sandwich, but you can also personalize it to how you want it. So, I honestly, I could probably live off of party subs throughout the week, my regular week. That could be my grocery shopping, and it has been sometimes. I'm not going to act like it hasn't been, but I love me some party subs. Favorite sandwich at this point in my life, I got to go with the Italian.
Okay.
Just as a little caveat there, I'm going Italian sandwich, but you can't beat a good club. You can't beat a good ham, turkey, all that. I'm here for all of it. Coming in at number 2.
Number 2.
I have, of course, wings.
Okay.
Delicious buffalo wings. I believe that this is the most profitable day for restaurants like Buffalo Wild Wings, Wingstop. They are making an ungodly amount of wings, and I don't know what your favorite sauce is here. Maybe you can answer that when you go, but I've really developed into a Parmesan garlic man myself. Again, I will eat them all. I like a good lemon pepper as well, a good traditional. My spice levels are actually getting better for my Caucasianness, so I'm proud of that. I'm starting to take a little more spice, so go me, I'm really growing up as a person, and my mouth is maturing, and I can handle a little heat now. And number 1, this is very important to me because this is one of my favorite things 365 days of the year. Number 1, I have dips and chips / bread. I am just a dip fiend. I love a variety of stuff. I like just little bit of everything. When I go to the restaurant, I love getting samplers because I like trying a little bit of everything, because you know why? I usually have buyer's remorse. If I am looking at 3 things on the menu and I pick one, I'm usually like, oh, I shouldn't got that other thing, blah, 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 blah. But with something as beautiful as these dips and these chips and these breads, you can have 3 different dips if you want. You can have the artichoke dip. You can have the buffalo chicken dip if you want. You can have salsa. You can have the queso. And there's different things you can use to dip in these. I mentioned the chips and the breads and everything. You can even dip vegetables if you're a weirdo. I'm just kidding. I like vegetables, but you get what I mean.
No, he's not.
And you know what? It's not just for regular food. You can have dessert dips. You can have a good chocolate fountain, even if you're feeling crazy. Dip some strawberries in there. It's so good. And you feel like you're not eating too much, even though you probably are if you down the whole thing, which I usually do. But those finger foods, man, they make you feel like you're on a little diet. You're like, oh, I'm only eating this little bit.
Yes.
I'm fine. But 6 hours later, I've downed a pound of buffalo chicken dip, and I'm feeling the weight of my decisions.
6 chickens.
6 entire chickens. That's correct. But to recap, I have at 3 party sub, Number 2, chicken wings. Number 1, dips and chips / bread.
All right. I like the list. It's
Thank
a very traditional list. I don't feel like you strayed much from the Super Bowl party. Like, if you polled 100 people, Family Feud style, and said, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl meals, where you going?" I think that's basically what the list would look like. I mean, those would be up there, top 3. So,
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
think you didn't stray. You went very
I mean,
traditional.
they are foundations for a reason.
Agreed. And here's the thing, Brad. I strayed.
Oh,
Oh.
let's hear it.
All right. Not necessarily. I don't have. These are just the top 3. This one would be third, though. The other 2 I interchangeable in my mind because they're very similar, and you've probably never heard of them. So number 3, bacon wrapped little weenies. Little brown sugar on them. Give me, I mean, anything bacon wrapped is delicious, let's be honest. But bacon wrapped little weenies.
Okay, can I just tell you something that's probably going to shock you?
Go ahead.
I have never had bacon wrapped little weenies. I've of course had little weenies, but
Yeah, you've
I've
had the
never
little
tried.
weenies in the barbecue sauce, probably.
Yeah, and I've also had them in
Little
the little
crock pot.
crescent rolls as well.
Yeah,
Like pigs in a blanket style, but I have never had bacon wrapped ones.
Bacon wrapped.
I am intrigued.
Put a little brown sugar on top. I'm just telling you. All right, next on my list. I'm gonna go with this one because it's a little more familiar. You again probably have never had it, but sausage cream cheese crescent roll-ups.
Sausage, cream cheese,
So you brown sausage,
mm-hmm.
crumble it, then mix it with cream cheese. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you with me so far?
I'm here.
And then the crescent rolls, they have where they don't have. It's just a sheet of crescent roll dough
Okay.
without the like perforated tear lines.
Mm.
You take that, you smear all of your cream cheese sausage mixture on this roll. Then you roll it up like a cinnamon roll.
Oh,
Chop it up
okay.
into little bite-sized roll-ups and bake it just like you would crescent rolls. Same time, temperature, all that. Maybe a little longer to let it get nice and brown and cooked, but delicious, Brad.
I'm gonna have to get some pictures for the social videos on
Okay.
this because I'm trying to picture it. I mean, I can picture it, but I think I need some confirmation that what I'm picturing is correct.
Yes. So it's basically a cinnamon roll, but instead, or even like a pepperolis. It's kind of similar to that,
Mhm.
but instead of pepperonis and cheese in the middle, it is cream cheese and sausage
Okay.
mixed in.
Cream
Mixed
cheese
together.
and sausage.
Mixed together.
Is that regular cream cheese?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I'll look into it.
All right. And then my last one. Party pizzas, which, again, I'm going to have to give you the ingredients. It's on rye bread. So you got rye bread, little cocktail rye bread. And then you add ground beef, sausage, Velveeta, Worcestershire sauce, and ketchup all together. So you cook the meat, all of that together, put it on the rye bread, then bake it. And I'm telling you, this is deliciousness.
Wow.
Deliciousness, Brad.
Wow. Look at you.
Ground beef, sausage, Velveeta. Right there, you're in, right? You're like, all right, I'm on this road with you.
We need to get we need to get together for Super Bowls more if you're making these exotic dishes.
I know,
What the hell?
Brad.
Okay, I'm gonna need to work with you and find pictures of this stuff because I need to visualize it.
Okay, I
I'm
will.
a visual learner.
I will chase down some pictures for you. I think I may have some of family that has made some of these. Oh, I just found some of the rye bread party pizzas.
Yeah, send
On the
that my
Googles.
way. That'll
I
be good
will.
for the TikTok.
I just found it on the Googles, and now I'm hungry.
While you're salivating over there, I just want to give a special shout out to Velveeta. You were not on my list, but you are always in my heart. Probably the best thing that I make for parties is a Velveeta cheese dip. You can do lots of things to it. You can add little jalapenos, little peppers. You can add your meats to it if you want to. It is so simple. You just throw the blocks of cheese into a
Oh yeah, crock-pot.
crock pot. Thank you.
Yep.
You throw the blocks of cheese into a crock pot. You just let it marinate. You stir it every once in a while. People will come over and have it and be like, "Brad, this is really good. What did you do to this?" And I'm just like, "That's a secret, chef's secret."
So-
And the truth is, it's just I threw blocks of cheese in a crock pot and let it melt.
So you don't even put like Rotel in there.
I do, of course, yes.
Okay.
I Velveeta with a Rotel is the
Rotel.
main ingredients.
Maybe some ground
but
beef or some
I like
sausage.
to I like to throw meat in there from time to time. I also like to spice it up with some jalapenos as well. Adding some peppers really puts some color in with the yellow and the whites. A little, I will say, a true secret of
Some
mine
green
with the
chilies.
Velveeta.
Canned
This
green
is the first time I've come public with this.
Oh.
What I do is I go half of the regular Velveeta cheese and I go half of the Mexican Velveeta cheese, and I put it together. So it's not quite a queso blanco per se, but it's kind of the best of both worlds. So you can just have fun with it. And again, you're dipping. So I guess it is kind of on my list. It's a dip. But special shout out Velveeta. I love you. You're my rock. You're my everything. Thank you.
And then that's all I've got to say about that.
That's all I've got to say about that.
That's
Can you give me a recap of your
A
list?
recap for me.
Looking at the camera.
As my camera, well,
Camera one.
here's the problem. All of my cameras were like, "Hey, you don't have any space." So let me try. Let me try one more time.
We'll make 5 seconds of space.
Okay,
Dude.
I'm gonna work on it.
We're doing a
trying.
podcast.
Okay, I'm trying.
God.
Here we go.
I can talk about Velveeta more installed.
No, here we go. 3,
Okay.
2, 1. All right. Bacon wrapped little weenies, number 3. Number 2. Sausage and cream cheese roll-ups on crescent roll dough. And number 1, rye bread party pizzas. Those would be my top 3.
Beautiful.
How about that? Stop the recording. Got it in.
I've said that before.
Oh, man. Yeah, you have. Probably last week. Hey, what
yeah.
happened?
Listen.
What happened was...
Yeah. Coach's decision. DNP didn't play.
So, all right, let's move on. Real quick. We, no fantasy this week. Kind of done with that. We'll figure something out. Probably XFL fantasy or something.
And I
pathetic like
realized
that.
we never really went over the winner of the fantasy.
Yeah, and I never figured it out. So I've got to
Hmm.
work on that. I'm pretty sure it was you.
Yeah, I know you're pretty sure it was me.
I'm like, I think it went like 6 and 5 was
Yeah,
the
it was
last.
like it was.
So I
yeah.
think maybe 7 and 5 or 7 and
Okay.
6, something like that.
Okay, we have it on record now. That's
Nothing-
all I care about.
Nothing ridiculous, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's hop into against the spread and prop bets. Where you going with your prop bets for the Super Bowl, Brad?
Okay. Should I just go ahead and give all 3?
Sure, let's give all
Okay.
3 here.
All right. These odds are going to be changing, so I won't really give a specific, number as far as payout goes right now. But first off, Super Bowl props, I will take Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. Last time I checked it out, it was at -115. I think he is going to be kind of depending on his legs a little more in a huge spotlight of the game. Biggest game of his entire career, and he's been in some big ones. I think he's going to kind of revert back to that ground and pound game of his, which, I mean, hey, it's worked, and I think it could work against the Chiefs as well. I like him getting in the end zone at some point during the big game. Give me a Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. Number 2, I am going with this. I've seen numbers skewed a little bit, but I'm taking Travis Kelce over 6.5 receptions. I've seen it at 7.5 on some sites. Again, the number is changing quite often, but I will take over on both of those. I see Travis Kelce getting, honestly, I'm going to say 12 catches for 107 yards and a touchdown. So I love Travis Kelce over 6.5, 7.5, whatever you want to call it. These big games that the Chiefs are in, Patrick Mahomes relies on Travis Kelce as he should. He is one of the best players in the NFL. He's unguardable. Every game I watch them, I just think to myself, why aren't you double teaming this guy? And I think that they try to, but it still doesn't work. So Travis Kelce is going to get his. Give me the over on his receptions. And finally, I have one that's kind of out of the box for you here. I'm going with Chris Stapleton over 2 minutes and 3 seconds on the national anthem. Now, Steve,
Where was
you
that?
may say, Brad, what's going on here? What are you talking about? Let me give you a little rundown of why I like this. There have been 4 country singers who have sang the national anthem at the Super Bowl since the year 2000.
Okay.
And you know what? 3 of those 4 have gone under 2 minutes and 3 seconds. So, oh wow, that's it's not looking good for my bet, right? But the lone country artist that went over was another male superstar in Luke Bryan. The other 3 who went under were females. And Chris Stapleton's last album, back in 2019, the average song length for that same year for other albums, not Chris Stapleton, just other artists, was 3 minutes and 17 seconds. The average song length for Chris Stapleton's album in 2019 was 3 minutes and 51 seconds. I think it is safe to say, if you know anything about Chris Stapleton, he puts a little stank on it. And I see Chris Stapleton putting his own unique stank on this national anthem. You know me, Steve. I am just a country expert.
You are.
Nothing but country for me. But
What I always say about you.
no, I will say that I am a
It's not
big
what I
Chris
say.
Stapleton fan because I think he is just a great musician. I think he's got a great sound. Just uber talented. I think that can't be denied. He is by far my favorite country artist, and I like him over 2 minutes, 3 seconds on the national anthem. Putting some stank on the national anthem.
Was that on the DraftKings Sportsbook that you sent me? Where is that?
I don't know, but I saw
No,
it
it's
elsewhere.
not. Okay, that's fair. I see how it is. I was looking for something along those lines.
Well,
I
you've
was
had
just
time to
curious.
digest it if you want to take it.
Nope, I'm not. I'm going different. I'm going to go something different. All right.
Are you confident in it, or do you need more research?
I would need more research.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, I would need more research. All right. For my prop bets, I'm going to go coin toss result. Tails plus 100. Give me tails. Never fails, right?
Are they both? So are they both at plus 100?
Yeah, they are. They're both
Okay.
plus 100. So
No, that's a good bet.
I'm gonna go tails. That's just where I feel like
Well, I mean, you get,
tails never fails.
I guess, it's a 50% chance, right? It's 50-50 at even money, so
Yes.
why not?
Exactly. Number 2, color of first Gatorade poured on the winning head coach. I'm gonna go red/pink plus 450, Brad.
Okay. Are you Now, does that have anything to do? Your reasoning here, does that have anything to do with which team you think is going to win?
I think you know.
Okay,
All right. And I like your Travis Kelce. So I'm going to go position of MVP. Tight end plus 900. Lock it in.
love it. I'm on board with you completely on that for sure.
And here's the other side of that. Dallas Goedert's a really good tight end as well. So
And taking a look at the Chiefs receivers, who has been in this situation? I mean, you don't have Tyreek Hill anymore, so you've got guys like Juju. Juju. Right, he's not playing.
Well, he does.
I think
he gets like $1 million bonus if he plays in 50% of the game, and they win.
Correct.
So there's a chance he'll be out there.
But it's very, very possible that Juju disappears, which happens a lot.
Yeah, injured, disappears anyways. He's only out there so he can cash the paycheck if they win.
Right. And, Valdez Scantling, I mean, how much can you rely on him? I honestly, I put Kelsey's reception number at 12, and I think that might be even low. I mean, I think you could see like a 15-catch performance out of Kelsey this Sunday, but he's just, Mahomes is going to feed him all the time because he's always open. He literally is always open. And you know what? He might not rack up a huge yardage total. I had him at right around 100 yards, but he moves the chains in the red zone. He catches touchdowns. I mean, he just does so much for that team. And I don't know. What was the number on the payoff for that?
On the tight end, it is plus 900.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look at that. Yeah. Okay, I like it.
All right, so my 3, once again, coin toss result. I'm going tails. It never fails. Plus 100 there. Over on color of first Gatorade poured on winning head coach, I'm going to go with red/pink at plus 450. And my final one, position of MVP at plus 900, I'm going to go with tight end.
Love it. Who you got in the game?
I am going to go with the Chiefs in this one.
Okay. Do you need the point, or are you just going to take money line?
I'll just go money line.
Same. I will also take the Chiefs money line. As I stated, I don't really like the Chiefs at this point in time, but I think it's one of those situations where I got an emotional hedge and bet on them. So if I lose my bet, at least the Chiefs lost type of thing. But
there you go.
Those bastards always find a way, don't they?
They really, really, really do. It's unbelievable. All right, Brad. That about wraps it up for us on this episode of Game On Pod. I'm Steve Braun. That's Brad Bollinger. You can find us on Twitter at Game On Guys, Facebook and TikTok. It's Game On Pod, and our website gameonpod.com. You can also email us at emailgameon@gmail.com. For Brad Bollinger, I'm Steve Braun. This has been yet another edition of Game On.
2, 1, 2, 3.
Are you ready, America? It's time for another edition of Game On with your host, Stevie Ray Braun and Brad Bad News Bollinger. Sit back, relax, and enjoy Game On.